Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird, another one. I am doing this live from the comfort of my hotel room, so forgive me. We're here talking to you guys about Ready to Love, Make a Move. Yes, we're talking to you guys about episode two. It was with some craziness that happened with Zadia and Charisse kind of going at it a little bit, and showing us a little bit of who has the power. And we saw Vern and Ashley also go on some dates and hopefully work out a few kinks as they try to figure out who will be the best partner for them going forward. But I guess most of the show was focused on that interesting debacle between Charisse and Zadia. So we're going to tackle that as well on tonight's show. Listen, if you're new to the channel, massive, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. Okay. All right. Now, what's singing? My throat's doing a little bit of school. You know what I mean? So I got to take it easy. Okay. But I'm going to be joined by some fabulous guests as always. I've got Seaway, I've got Jay, and Sean will join us a little bit later on as well to share their particular thoughts. But as the show's going on, please do me my favor, guys. Don't forget subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to a thousand to 100K subs as well. So really appreciate you guys' support. And those of you joining the membership, it's amazing. It's fabulous. I love the support you guys are giving us. Can't wait to have more conversations with those who are in a membership as well. Because we've got some great stuff coming up going forward. But again, once more, we're going to have a good show tonight. All right, cool. Without further ado, because it is getting a little bit late, let's talk about this latest episode. Episode two was filled with stuff. We saw Zadia go on a date with Cameron. It seemed to be going really well. And then we had obviously Vern and Jabari a little bit as well. Ashley had a bit more of a date with her gentleman, and I can't remember who she was on a date with. It slipped my mind. And also then Charisse got her dream man as well. And they were all silent at the table as forks hit the plate. Let's get some thoughts from the rest of my super panelists and what they thought of this particular episode. Initial thoughts from Jay and Seaway. Jay, what was your initial thoughts of this particular episode?
Um, well, one, I don't know how I feel about dates going home after just one date. I feel like it might be just a little too soon to really tell. So that means that if a person makes a really good first impression, they could potentially stay, but be a prick later on. And you potentially lose out on somebody that you've been building with all the time. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this just yet. With that said, can't remember whose Ashley's date name was, probably because he can't remember what she was wearing. So there's that. Sharice's man was another JP, so we got nothing out of that. But I appreciate the flowers of it all. It was a nice gesture, but though I think it was going to be for whoever he ended up with. Um, Cameron was a nice surprise to see with Zadia, and I just lost the basketball player name. Yeah, we'll get into him later. But it's growing. The show is growing, so I like it so far.
Yeah, so my thoughts. This was my first episode. I didn't watch last week, so I was just trying to see if this show could hold my attention, and it actually did. This episode did hold my attention all the way through, so that was a good sign because that was kind of what I wanted to see if I was even interested in watching the show at all. So I did think it was interesting. The concept is okay. I agree with Jay. I don't know about sending folks home just off of like this quick first date, but we'll see how that goes. As far as the dates go, yeah, I also had a trouble remembering Ashley's date. But I did, overall think it was he got caught up, and yeah, he paid for getting caught up. I thought uh Vern's date was a little sassy, so I'm kind of glad he went home. He reminded me, and he also reminded me of that dude from Miami's Ready to Love season, the club promoter. He looked like him too. Um, I'm just overall really confused by Sharice's type. She's throwing me all the way off, and we'll get into her delusion, but baby girl's suffering from all types of delusion. And then the conflict of it all was, I'll leave that for later, but it was a hot mess. So
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. All right, cool. Let's get into the show. So, the first obviously date we had with Zadia and is it Cameron that had a date? They matched because they had some. She actually found him attractive. She thought it was a good looking guy. And then they had their first date because he was talking about, he's running his business, he's into photography, he's got a whole bunch of photographers around the world, and he's just running his business. And she was all about like, she got her fitness brand and everything. They just seem to kind of match on that particular level. But did you guys actually see the sparks between the two of them? Because, as much as they seem to have a lot of things in common, did you actually see chemistry between the two of them, or was it just more of a case of, kind of Zadia making do with what she had on the table? What's your guys' thoughts?
no, I think she liked him. I think she was feeling him. I think she was slow. I think it was a slow burn. I don't know how she felt about him at first. Not sure if he was her vibe at first, but I think once they got to talking, I think Zadia respects a man's man, like a man that gets out there and gets his money and hustles and is about his business. And I think once he started talking about his businesses and his hustle and his grind, I think that she was attracted to that. And I think from there, she was into him. I just think at first she wasn't too sure. But I think she really was she seemed a little inspired by all the stuff that he was doing. And then she tried to relate, as far as like her being an entrepreneur. So I think she liked him, which is evident by her late night rendezvous and wanting to hang out and keep it going. So I think she did like him.
I agree, Seaway, because I was about to say if Zadia is being just polite and going with it, child, give her an Oscar because I was convinced. I was convinced that she was into this conversation, that she was into this date. You could just tell by the body language that interaction. It didn't seem like anything was forced. They gave us a whole lot of their date, and it was a conversation throughout it once it got started. Once they started figuring out how many familiarities that they had with one another from school to the way they kind of think of business wise, all types of stuff, it was definitely on and popping from there. They had like really great conversation going, good banter going back and forth. Much like myself, she was probably thrown off by the hair a little bit. It was kind of distracting a little bit. But when you get past all of that, he is a kind of a decent looking, good looking dude. Not from New Orleans, so there's extra to learn about there. Like, why are you here? What brings you out here, and all this stuff. So it was a good conversation, and like Seaway say, it continued to the wee hours of the morning. So you don't just be like hanging with somebody you don't have no attraction to, or even if it's just on a friend level, like to get to know you. But Zadia is not that type that's just gonna be hanging out with you, wasting her time. We see how she did that last date she had. She got up in the middle of him talking. So
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think when I saw obviously Zadia, I think it's probably one of the most natural dates that she had, um, even from Ready to Love in general. So there seemed to be, some kind of connection that was going on between the two of them. And it seemed natural, didn't seem forced. Um, I think they really did connect. I think they really did connect. I mean, you're right. Throughout the whole of the date, there was a lot of conversation, that they showed us, which was a contrast a little bit towards what we saw with Charisse and is it I can't remember the guy Mars or whatever Marceau Mardi or whatever his name is that she was there. Now, the names are not coming to me. I can't even lie to you, but so it was nice to see. That's what I want to say. It was nice. It's nice to see Zadia in that element and see her just having a real just chill conversation and vibes and everything. And it seemed to go really well. So much so, as you guys were saying, that they end up having a nightcap conversation. Creeping up to 6 a.m. in the morning, type of long overnight conversation where obviously clearly you don't talk about, about ex partners, but they seem to be, working working in tandem and working quite well. So I was glad to kind of see that going forward as well. So yeah, that was nice to see. What was you guys' thoughts then on the date with it was it Maurice and Charisse? Is that his name? Maurice, the elder gentleman. That was a guy that she actually wanted to talk to. She saw the suit. She said, "Yes, that's a bit of me." And they had a conversation. He was a lawyer, and they seemed to be kind of like having this, some good conversation. And then it kind of petered out a little bit towards the end. I think that might have been a little bit more editing than anything, because I'm not trying to talk when I'm eating. Like, when I got a mouthful of food, I'm really just trying to enjoy the food. But that date didn't seem to start off well and then kind of peter out a little bit. How did you guys and ladies? How did you see it between Charisse and Maurice? Go for it, Seaway.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this real quick. I have more to say. So I'll say this. I'll drop off. I'll come right back. This guy is the kind of definition of the guy that got him a little money now, and he's gonna use his money to be his personality. I don't think this dude had much of a personality, and I think once they got done talking about whatever, and he used his money to get her those nice flowers or whatever, there was just nothing left. I'll say this. I just think this is the type of man that Charisse is going to be bumping into that meets her financial qualifications and status qualifications. But these type of men she's not going to want what they're offering, and they're not going to want what she's offering. So I have more to say, but I got to go grab this food. But yeah, thought it was a very interesting date.
Jay, do you want to add on? Do you want to add anything else onto what Seaway just said there?
Of course, like I said, nice flowers. I think it was a gift that if he was with anybody, it would have been given to anybody. But it was a nice gesture, just the same. I'm not mad at him. I agree with Seaway. It is somebody who is now established, now an empty nester, and he just want to find somebody to have some fun with. But is he fun? That's left to be determined. I'm not really sure, because I would just say, yes, we eating our food. Most of us not going to talk with our mouth full or nothing like that. However, even when she asks, is there anything you want to get to know about me? He was like, well, is there anything you want to tell me? That tells me, no, you don't want to know nothing about me. You just trying to have a good time and move on to the next one. That's what I'm getting from it. So do you, sir? He got I forgot how many, 4 kids, 3, 4. I don't remember how many he got, and an ex-wife. Those should not be a problem for Charisse. Yet, however, she's gonna keep it as an excuse so we remember why she's getting rid of him later on. Because them kids is grown, they out the house. This is kind of man that you're looking for. That's if you don't want children. Now, maybe if she wants children, I can see why she still wants a man with no kids, never been married, to be the first of everything. But sis, that's how you ended up with a Samson last time. So you got to calm down on that. I don't know what you want us to do, because at the age she wants an older man. Chances are this older man is not going to not been married or not have kids. One of the two is happening, if not both. So good luck to her finding that, and he not another Samson. That's all I can say to it. But hey, yeah, she likes some particular style. So if he's in a suit, he's dressed nice, and he smell good, you Charisse type. That's what I'm figuring at this point.
Hey, Sean, welcome to the conversation. We just spoke about Zadia and her date first, but you can quickly touch on that if you want as well. So Zadia and her date, and then Charisse and her date as well.
Okay. Yeah, no, I thought that Zadia had good chemistry with what's his name, Cameron. I believe his name is Cameron, right? I think they had some good chemistry together. He reminds me, he looks like Milton's, like he could be Milton's older brother, Milton from Love Is Blind. So I thought that was interesting, but she seemed like she liked him. They connected. The one thing that I kind of, that kind of stuck out to me was their conversation afterwards, where it seems like they had all these conversations and they talked for all this time, but they didn't really get deep to talk about relationships because that became a thing later on. So I'm not really sure what they were talking about till 6 a.m. But hey, that's that. Um, I'm not in prison. I'm busy trying to get ready for Jamaica. So my apartment looks like the Tasmanian devil has run amok. I have clothes everywhere. So that's why you're getting this virtual background. Otherwise, you're going to get my avatar in a second. But
Is the elevator included in the virtual background? I like it. The elevator music.
Oh, that's Abby's TV. That's Abby. That's Abby's TV. That keeps the inner tiger in her calm. So, yeah. So that's that about Zadia's date. I think she had much better chemistry than the other dude, and I love seeing her smile. I thought it was so nice to see her kind of open up and soften up. Next, Charisse. And I was watching, oh my God, Kojo, I need you to get married for 10 years on this panel because I watched she ripped Charisse to shreds. But she brought out some valid points, which is, Charisse does the thing that I think Charisse gets in her own way and she complains so much, like everything is a problem. And it's like, what do you bring to the table? And I think I thought that was such a good point. It's like, you want all this from a man, but what do you bring to a table? What do you bring to the table in terms of like, what are you adding? You can ask questions. You can, just lighten up the mood. You're so specific with all your requirements, which honestly, I hate to say it, and it's not to make being single anything to be ashamed of, but it's like, do you expect to find somebody that's going to meet all those requirements? And mind you, do you meet their requirements? And that's kind of what I think about Charisse. And all this fighting and tussling that she's doing back and forth with Zadia is wasted energy. It's wasted energy. It's like, why are you? I get it. People are in a house and in a space, and perhaps things are going to happen, but you are always so focused on tussling with everybody else, and you're expending that energy, and it takes away from the from your dating process. And Siwa and I, we were having a conversation earlier today, and we were not about this, but just about combative people in general. And it's like, it's very hard to say like, oh, you compartmentalize how combative you are. Like, you're combative with people, but you're just wonderful to deal with in relationships. Not true. You know what I mean? Like, that behavior transfers over. And if you can't learn to get along with people and settle differences accordingly, and you always are going back and forth with somebody, but you always have an explanation for why you're not wrong, it's hard to me to think that you're going to be successful in a relationship. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Charisse is such an interesting person on this season now, because she's got this overly picky pickup, and she picks up things that you're like, sis, why are you being so picky about it? The guy's got what, 4 kids or whatever, and they're all grown, yet that's a problem. What kind of perfection are you looking for? Like, there's nobody perfect here. Like, there are gonna be things that are not gonna be exactly 100% in alignment with what you want. But in my regard, in the reality of the situation, the gentleman's actually in a really good position. The kids are grown. They're out there. I'm guessing they're gonna probably be out of the house. These kids are not gonna trouble you because they already have their established relationship as adults. This is a really good position to be in. So the fact that she was complaining about that, I was just like, what more do you want, Charisse? And for me personally, I think Charisse is somebody who, I think she needs to sit down with her needs and her wants. Because some of the things that she says, it's like, baby, that's not a need, that's a want. That's not a need. right? And if you need it, then this has to be essential to you building a relationship with that person. You know what I mean? Like it has to really impact you. And none of this impacts her. Like that it's almost as she picks something to be a problem with. Almost if like she's so guarded, she picks something to be an issue so that she can almost break you down before you can get past her walls. So that you don't get the opportunity to get past the guard that she's got up, right? And almost as if she's always trying to catch a person out to see, I have to make sure that you're not a player. I have to make sure that you're not gonna hurt me. I got to make sure that you're not gonna do me over. And I'll make sure I will vet, no, not even vet, but I'll make sure that I, nitpick you so bad that no one's, you don't get an opportunity to really see me for who I actually am. And we saw that on Ready to Love, and we're seeing it here as well. This is what I'm so. Um, you know, uh, Personally, I would say this, I think she needs to reevaluate, you know, and I'm not saying that, you can't have your standards. I'm saying certain things don't need to become a standard.
What's that saying? Hurt people hurt people. There's some healing that needs to be done with Sharice, like all around, because that's what gets her into these fights, even with the ladies in the house. You testing boundaries and stuff. So there's things that needs to be resolved with her. And I'm not saying that she won't find that perfect man, but to be honest with you, it's gonna be real hard. So you're gonna have to deal with something. It's gonna be some setback, something that you're gonna have to deal with, and you just gotta, stake your claim on what you're gonna be fighting for. What it is you're gonna relinquish up and give up as far as your wants and your needs. This long list of things that you got for a man to be, because it's not perfect. You're looking for that perfect man, that Tyler Perry movie leading man guy. He don't exist. He don't exist in the real world like that. So I don't know. I think she just needs to sit down with a real a real therapist and a real matchmaker. I'm sorry. This lady right here is not the one for her.
I think what Sharice is going through, Sharice is a result of what I believe pissing off your 20s and 30s gets you. And I think people need to have a hard look at the reality of not living in reality. It seems like she has some type of delayed comprehension of her situation, yet she wants to date age appropriate men. When the reality is that age appropriate men like Mr. Suit have either been married and have kids and now are on their second time around. Now, that's not to say that these same men wouldn't be interested in starting a family with her again. There is plenty of those situations. I'm thinking of, Sean knows I'm not a big fan of this couple, but like Adrian Houghton and her older gentleman, Israel. I mean, that's an example of an older man that had a whole marriage and some side babies and was like, you know what? I'm going to do it again with you. Okay. But you have to be okay with the past marriage and maybe the past side babies and the past baggage if you want that type of man that comes with that type of financial security. And yeah, and that's if she wants kids. But if she, either way, if she wants kids or doesn't want kids, the reality of finding a 44-year-old man that's heterosexual with none of these things is very, very slim to none. And if she was to find that person, you can't be. Sharice is not. If I was a man, Sharice would not be number one on my priority list because she can't get along with anyone. And I heard Sean say this when I was gone. Sharice's inability to get along with people will show up in her relationship. And I do 100% believe these women that say, I don't get along with women. I get along with dudes though. No, you don't get along with dudes. You don't get along with nobody. Because if you can get along with anybody, you should be able to get along in your relationship. So I think she I feel bad for her because I don't think she's living in reality at all.
Oh, for sure. I see you moving your hand. You want to say something?
Not necessarily. Listen, and I think I mean, I just kind of feel like, you know, we bring this what like it just has become taboo. Like, what do you bring to the table conversation? But I just want to know, like, what value would it be for a man to be in a relationship with Charisse? I would love to hear that. And I think everybody, man and woman, needs to not necessarily have an elevator pitch, but have, like, if you're looking to be in a relationship. Now, if you just want to have fun and just, float through things, then of course you don't need to, be prepared to do this. But if you want to be in a serious relationship and there's certain things that you want, you need to be able to also talk about what are some of the things that would be valuable to be in relationship with you. And if you can't think of that, then maybe you need to think about that, because it has to be mutually beneficial. Nobody cares, beauty is not forever. Attractiveness, and beauty is also in the eye of the beholder. And we don't care about your businesses. Those are great for you and for taking care of yourself, but we don't care about that. Why would I, if I was somebody she would be interested in, right? Hypothetically, why would I want to be in a relationship with her? How is she going to make my life better? How are there going to be things that we're going to do that are going to make it better for me to be with her versus just being by myself? And I think the advice I'm saying for her is for everybody, right? You need to be thinking about these things, because when you are in a relationship, it is about how you show up and serve the other person. And I think too often we fall easily into the me, and what are you going to do for me, and what do I want, and what are my list of requirements? Well, what do you have to give, and what do you have to offer? And I think we need to spend more time thinking about that and talking about those things, because it's easy to point out somebody else's flaws and easy to run down a list of requirements for somebody else that they need to fulfill that sometimes can be unrealistic. But how easy is it to identify things that would make it beneficial for somebody to be in a relationship with you? So that's what I think.
Yeah, no. I think, you guys make some good points. I think Charisse has to do some like really deep introspective work. I think she needs to look back and be like, hold on a minute, what why do I keep finding myself in a place where the women are fighting me, the men are fighting me, I'm combative in every situation, I'm always got my guard up, I'm always ready to fight, I'm always ready to go toe to toe. And how has this impacted my relationships and me actually having some type of healthy relationships with people that I want to be actually interested in? And I think that that's something that she's going to have to slow down her life for and really sit in it and ask herself that key question: where's this coming from? Why am I feeling this way? You know what I mean? And I think in reality, when you look at it, you go, sis, there's some deep things that have happened to you. Clearly, that's why you're in that space, and every time you're in that zone. But and now, it's we're now like Steve said, we're now at 40 plus and looking around, wanting to find love, and you don't realize you're repelling love. You're not inviting it, you're repelling it, and you're repelling it because of the way that you maneuver with other people in relationships. The way she handles Adia, I didn't like it. The way you move, you know what I mean? Like the way you had maneuvered with the vest guy, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? So for me personally, it's like you're gonna have to find a better way of maneuvering through this, Charisse. A better way, because right now you are repelling the love that you want. You're asking for it, but you're repelling through your behaviors. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. Um, Let me go to the next part. that was happening. And then Venetia had a date. It wasn't very long though, but she had a date as well. And Ashley also had a date as well. So Venetia was on with Raymond, I think his name was, and he was well traveled. He had gone to Europe. He had played ball, so he was not dating anybody. So he had no real dating experience himself, right? It felt like the early days of going to a job interview and them saying, "Listen, we would love to take you on, but you don't have any job experience." Well, motherfucker, I gotta stop somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, why y'all telling me I ain't got no job experience? Of course I ain't got no job experience. I'm trying to get a job to have some experience. You know what I mean? It almost felt like that situation when Vern, kind of highlighted his lack of experience in relationships. Um, what was you guys' thoughts on Venetia and Raymond and his lack of experience when it comes to dating? Did you guys see it as a problem? Was Venetia right to highlight it? What's your thoughts? Trying to get some job experience and you ain't got no job. It's hard out here for him. Who would like to go first
I
after
think
this?
you open your
Go
thing
for it.
open, Sean. You don't want to go. You want to go ahead, or because Sean had open at the same time as me. You want to go ahead, or I got it. Okay. Well, one in Venetia's defense, she said that his lack of experience was in commitment. So it wasn't in dating. So she was right to assess that because it is a lack of commitment and a lack of experience and commitment for him. 2 years, your longest relationship, and that's at the age of 21. Like, I still have so many questions. Like, is that the longest running without cheating, without some scandal, without something happening? Like, it'd be so much. And to be well off into your 30s, potentially 40s at this point right now, and that was the longest that you had, that's a little scary to me, especially for what Vern want. Vern got to think about everything that she got going on. She got kids. She wants an actual marriage. That means long term for her. She sounds like she's trying to be one and done. So yeah, that experience is well needed. It is not like we applying for a job and the first person come along is hired. No, it's this a whole vetting process, and she's doing right. She did right. She take her time. He didn't even sound like he had a serious relationship, let alone the 2 year one. So, and everything had to run through his mama, which he should have listened to his mama and brought the flowers, he didn't do. But a lot of stuff is ran through his mama on top of it. So there's that. There's she gonna be competing with the mama if she ain't competing with another woman. It's gonna be a Blueface, Krishan, and Jaden situation all over again. So yeah, no. Vern did right.
Yeah,
Good
I
point,
would I
Jay.
would tend to agree with you on that. I feel like, yeah, you don't. I think him and Vern weren't a good match. So I don't know what I'm kind of questioning Tamika because she was like, "Oh, I'm putting you with somebody that's tall." Did she vet the guy? Talk to him a little bit about his past? Because you know, Vern is definitely older than him by a few years. And also, do they really want the same things? Does he want kids? I don't think she wants kids anymore. Like I don't know how suited for each other they are. And I don't think it means that, just like, you mentioned, he's, you you need experience to get some jobs, but you need a shot. I don't think the shot is with Vernicia. Like, I don't think the shot would be Vernicia because they're just not matched. It would be with someone younger, someone less experienced, someone willing to kind of work through things with you, and it doesn't have, I think Vern's timeline is a little bit more expedited than his would be, because it's going to take him a long time to kind of go through those growing pains when he hasn't had a relationship in 15 years. So, and then, like Jay mentioned, the whole flowers thing, that showed a little bit of immaturity on his part, because your mama shouldn't have to tell you to get flowers, and if she did, you ain't listen. And then you mentioned it, so you should have just kept it to yourself, because you ain't bring no flowers, and you ain't listen to your mama, and your mama was right. So I think she was right to kind of push him to the side, because that's not going to get her the outcome that she likely wants.
There's nothing normal about a man. I'm assuming he's about 35. If he was 21 in 08, 35-ish. There is nothing normal about a man not being in a relationship for half of his 30s and the majority of his 20s. And Vernisha clearly has sense that God gave her, and she used it. There's only about a couple possibilities for a man that falls into that category. Those I'm sure you guys already know in the chat that I won't iterate here. But a man that falls into that category, there's about a couple things wrong with him, or all the things wrong with him. So no. And then that was very, very childish about, my mommy said I should bring flowers, but I didn't do it. Like, sir, again, you're 35, it's 6 years old. And this also shows, and then I'm done, the how asinine the proposition is of matching somebody for their height. When people be like, I want somebody who's tall, I want somebody who's dark skinned, I want someone who's light skinned, this is what you get. This was so stupid. And the fact that she even mentioned, oh, Vernisha, you wanted somebody tall and you just gave her anybody. So, yeah.
That was my issue there. It was like, I might say I want somebody tall, but there's a list of other things that I put on there. Can we knock off about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the things, 11 things that I put on there? Don't just give me the one. Don't just be like, oh, he tall, so here you go. Damn you, okay? Don't do that. You gave the other one a suit.
You tall, Jay, so I know you understand.
I understand the tall person. I want a tall man, but that's not the only thing I want. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be able to treat me well, like he treat his mama well, but I don't want to compete with his mama. It's a list of things that I actually would want over the height, to be honest with you. The height is important for me, but I would love other things over the height. I have dated under my height. I'll be fine. So, lady, don't just be matching people because they got a suit on, just because they tall enough, or I just think that y'all would be a good time together. That's no better than what I would find on the street for myself. Give me something better. Like Sean said, vet these people, please, to stop playing with me. This is why somebody petty, and we're gonna get into it later, locking doors and stuff. Because these men is unvetted. We don't know which one of them is the killer outside. Shout out to Miss Misha.
And what did they say he does now? Now that he's done playing? What was his career? Y'all remember?
Photography. Oh, no, sorry, apologies. No.
That's other one.
I don't actually.
What was his job? Y'all remember in the chat? What's his post-basketball job?
I don't know,
I can't remember because I don't think he even said anything outside of D-League basketball and overseas.
Yeah, because I was like, what is his job now?
I thought he said he was retired, but maybe I'm making that up.
But retiring from the G League ain't gonna do it.
You retire from overseas ain't gonna do it, especially if you
neither one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Show Orchid said it too. He retired a year and a half. That's what I thought. I heard him say he retired. Yeah.
So he retired from basketball, and what is he doing currently, sir? Like, you need.
Well, when you retired, you done working. That's it. If somebody said they're retired, that means
you can retire from the sport. You know how it goes. You could retire from the sport, but you need to be still having something else going on.
Well, he ain't mentioned it. He said retired. If you say retired, period, end of sentence.
I'm just highlighting.
You're done.
That's a lack of funds.
All right, Tommy.
Maybe he has another job. I'm sure he has another job because
he worked. Listen, we give everybody else the other clear folks get the benefit of the doubt, right? On some of these other shows. So, he played internationally. So, in Italy, everybody gets a pension. So perhaps he's got money coming from overseas that's hitting his offshore account.
Oh, right? like the bald head man?
Like Steve. Like Steve from Maths, because they sure was capping for that guy.
I was thinking about the bald head one with his overseas 401k. I'm forgetting all these people.
Oh
names.
no, not Gil, because Gil was black and they treated him dustily. He didn't help himself either. But I'm saying that we give the other clear people grace. So we're gonna give whatever this dude's name is.
Well, we about to give him grace like Carter off of Love Is Blind. They could just take him all off the show altogether. We ought to give it Carter
not
grace.
a job account in the negative, and nobody called him out.
That's because we didn't
They
get
pulled
to see
his whole. They pulled all their scenes off. So let's just pretend.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. He probably has a job. They just didn't
has
tell him.
money, or no, he's got money flowing through. You don't understand. When you go over and he stacked all his paper, he was there for 15 years, and his money is bouncing around offshore accounts as we speak, and just.
Thank you, Sean. I'm glad you're gonna K for the black men's and the black men.
You his agent? Let me find out you used to be his agent.
No, I'm his financial advisor. I'm the financial advisor, so I was managing the offshore accounts.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad somebody was, because they be blowing their money. Them overseas players be getting that tax-free money and running through it like crazy. So
yeah, when you know, you know. And believe me, I used to know. I ain't got no money.
Sean managing him, girl. He got it.
Nah, y'all ain't right for that, because you know it's damn right. We don't know if he got money or not. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, since we don't know.
That's what I said. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, because we really don't know.
Hopefully he's got some funds in the bank, you know. But yeah, good combo. Let's move it to then Marcus. Is it Marcus and Ashley? You know, she felt a bit nervous in her conversation with him. They both had good energy. But he made a mistake about what color dress she was wearing. I mean, technically, he did make a mistake, but didn't make a mistake. You know, she called him out on the mistake that he made. They both work in the school system, so she works obviously talking about speech therapy. He's a principal, and they kind of bonded a little bit on that. But unfortunately, obviously, you guys know the rest. He didn't make the cut. But what was you guys' thoughts about Ashley and Marcus and their particular date and their interaction? Don't all rush at once.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by something that I thought somebody was calling somebody dumb in the chat, and I hope they weren't referring to us, because you will get blocked. I'm sorry, I was so distracted by that comment, so I'm gonna let y'all go.
So, talking about Marcus and Ashley, their situation.
Yeah, poor Marcus. That's his name. Okay, poor Marcus. That's all I'm gonna say, because he clearly was looking at Zadia. He had eyes for Zadia. Ain't no way you mixing that yellow. He said yellow for the tan. And you could try to say the gold, but he would have been good enough cleaning it up if he went to her hair color and said I was referring to that, but he didn't even go there. However, they did, you know, pretty much align on paper. I love Ashley's personality. I don't care what y'all say, because it's good TV. She flowed along with the whole date. Didn't really cause problems, even in that moment where he just kept saying the yellow dress. She joked along with it, you know, just kept going and didn't ruin the date. I love that personality. And I can see why she's good with kids, because she just like super animated and all over. So, you know, I can see how she was working with kids. And it's good that they both linked on that. I commend her for being on the bike. It's not easy for everybody, especially if you ain't did it in a while or did it at all. So I like the date. On Ashley's side, he messed up. I'm sorry. He messed up. So that's on him. But yeah, I don't know about the other date she got. We'll get into him later. I still don't know about him either. So there's that. She had to choose the lesser of the two evils, I guess.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, are we just talking about the first guy, or just her dating experience in total?
Feel free.
Okay. First, I think, like, come on. It's like you were wearing brown, tan. He said gold. Zadia was wearing yellow. It's like, I think sometimes he just met you. Maybe he made a mistake. Maybe he messed it up. It's like, who cares? It's like, why are we getting so, wrapped up in things? So, why are we letting these little things become things that don't need to be things? And I think that's what I saw more. And I was like, come on, you guys have a great connection. You have a lot in common. You both like kids. He seems to be a nice guy. Why are you disqualifying him, saying, oh, you think he was more about Zadia? Did he call you Zadia's name? That would be one thing, but he mixed up the colors. I don't really see it as a big deal. I think it sometimes it could read as insecurity. And look, maybe I'm putting on a cape for the guy, but sometimes, like, we don't even know colors. Like, I might see a color and a woman is like, oh no, that's violet. I'm like, it's purple. Or it's lavender. Like, I mean, I don't know. You want to call it something specific? Okay, great. Maybe he looked at it and it looked like gold to him. I don't know, but it's really not. I'm saying that it's just, I don't think it's that serious. And I think she got too wrapped up in it, and she let her issues pour out. Like, oh, you think he's looking at another woman? Like, why would you just go there? That's my thought. And the bike, she took me out on that bike. Come on now. Come on, Ashley. Come on now. Do better. Like, it wasn't that they weren't going fast. It was they wasn't hiking uphill. It's like, just get on the bike. Let's go. Have a good time. Let your hair down. Figuratively, I just wanted her to, just give the guy a shot. And sometimes, like, just like somebody said in the comments, like, do I see chemistry with them? If you're not looking for it, and if you're caught up in the other things, then you're not going to have chemistry with the person, right? And as we've been told so many times, right, women don't need to be physically attractive, right? It's not all about, so get to know him, give it a shot. And you guys, they had synergy. They had a lot of things in common, which makes for a long, sustainable relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things that make a substantial relationship grow. So that's my thought.
Sean, I'm going to implore you to come to New Orleans with me and ride bikes on them sidewalks.
I'll do it. I love riding bikes.
But you see how often, because you ride bikes often. When you don't ride bikes often and you get on them sidewalks, it's a whole different story, baby. It's a different story. If you don't know how to ride bikes, or you're not very good at it, or if you haven't did it in a long time, getting on those particular type bikes and on New Orleans sidewalks, hell, sometimes just walking on New Orleans sidewalks is tricky. So
I did almost take a tumble when I was there for a conference.
They didn't look like they was in Bourbon Street, though. They looked like they was in a more residential part of town.
Did you look at them streets? Look at the streets again. Watch it back and look at this up and down.
She could barely get on the bike, let alone get to riding. She was struggling just getting on the bike to start with.
Well, look, take her to a Peloton class first. Let her do a stationary bike.
Not the Peloton if I can't move it.
Let her do a stationary bike. See,
he should have put them on. You know those bikes that you get, and there's like 6 people on it. That's what I thought the bike that they were going to get on initially was either the tandem bikes, or the bikes where you get on and everybody's rowing, and then y'all going down the street, and then you drink at the same time.
Oh yeah,
that sounds fun.
Yeah,
that's the kind of date I would have done.
Yeah, can I just say this is one of these situations where everybody right, everybody wrong. At this point, she may be right that he was checking for Zadia, and she may be wrong. All I know is that we didn't get enough time to even figure out which one is true or not. She personally seems a little, a bit insecure, and she needs a lot of affirmation, a little bit too much for my taste. But I mean, that's her, and we're different people. But I also don't think she had. I also am not going to crucify her for wanting to be 1,000% sure when you either got to keep you or dish you, kick the person to the side or keep them, that, that he was 100% there for you. So I don't know. I know I'm kind of, what is it, pussy popping on the fence here. I definitely am. I'm kind of indecisive about this, because I think she did have a right to feel the way she felt if she felt like he wasn't into her. But the color mix up honestly could have just been a mix up, but we won't know.
But see, that's the
So
problem with just having this one date and done situation. Though it's like we will, one, like you said, one, we'll never know, and two, it doesn't give a person enough time to right any wrongs they did. You cannot come in here making any mistakes as the dater. You gotta be on your P's and Q's like from jump. So maybe, like you said, if he had more time, she would have liked them more. But unfortunately for them, they don't have time to make a good impression. They got the first impression, and that is it. And he made a bad first impression.
Absolutely. I hear what you guys are saying, and I think a little bit right, a little bit wrong is a good statement to say, Seaway. Because I didn't understand where Ashley was coming from. She wants a man to focus on the details, and unfortunately, he missed the details, or at least he wasn't as close to the details. But I also understand as well what Jay's saying, which is, well, you've only got a limited scope of, you know, a scope of making a mistake before you get cancelled. So it makes a person on edge. You know what I mean? So I definitely hear both perspectives. I mean, personally, I don't know if he was trying to. I don't know if he was checking for Zadia. He might be. We don't know. Only time would have told, and only he really knows whether he was or not. But I think I liked their energy. They seem to be quite complimentary, but I guess in that instance, for her, the details do really matter, and it cost them. I guess it cost them an opportunity to explore further that connection. And I don't even know who she even stayed. The other guy who she kept in. I don't even know what he was like. But that's from the guy from the original, from the first episode. But yeah, no, for me personally, I would love to see their interaction with a little bit more deeper. I would love to see one more date, just to deepen a bit more the connection and see where it's going to go. Because it definitely has some complementary energy, but alas, this is TV, and you gotta work with the devil's playground. So it is what it is. And then was there any of it? I think it was the last of the dates, right? That was the last of the dates before it got to um, the beef situation between Zadia and Sharice, which we'll come to. Um, what was you guys thoughts to actually no, that's the rest of the show. Was it actually wait, is there any other date scenes that I missed? I might have missed one. So in my notes, that's all I've got for date scenes. Did anyone else have a date?
Well, Ashley did go meet up with the other guy.
She didn't, or she did.
Was it a meetup, or was it a flashback to the first date they was
I
together?
thought I
got
could have
confused.
sworn it was a meetup where she said, I just wanted to, meet up and talk to him. I thought they sat down and met up with each other.
Because that whole crawfish scene that they had segue, it confused me because that popped in. Her and that guy eating crawfish popped in later, and I got confused. I was like, "What's happening?" I don't.
Right.
It lost me. I didn't know if it was from last week or.
It was definitely last week. I remember the crawfish situation. Definitely last week.
Okay.
Wasn't this week? So yeah, so definitely last week. Question. I mean, and then maybe Sean can answer this. Maybe I know Jay, you kind of already answered it as well. Is Ashley's energy overwhelming? Is it too much?
I think her constant need for validation is probably a bit much, and I think with the right person, I mean, I think they could help her with that and help to just make her feel a little more secure, but I think she should just be secure, right? And if allow someone to compliment you, you got to give them the space to give you the compliments. And so early on, it can very well be it can be overwhelming. It's like, that hyper person is like, pay attention to me, tell me you love me, tell me how much fun I am, allow me to tell you. And I think that she has to work on that, and that's more of an inner confidence, an inner confidence thing that she just needs to, build and grow within herself. And I think that's where, she's got a lot going on. We saw a lot of the pain in the first episode, and now we're seeing some of the anxiety and insecurity in this episode. So, I think she's got a big heart, but people like that kind of question themselves, why do I always get hurt? Why do I always get taken advantage of? But it's sometimes because you put too much of you out there too quick, too soon, and in the wrong hands, it's you can easily get taken advantage of.
I'm sorry, let me clear something up. Because when I said her energy is like, I enjoy her energy, I meant for TV. She's like New York from Flavor of Love. You know what I'm saying? She got that, she's energized for TV. She's good TV. Her and Vern is good, like wholesome TV that is not too much drama so far. So that's what I mean by her energy is up. And I like that, her energy for TV. But I agree with Sean as far as relationships goes, even friendships. For the right people, she'll be perfect. She won't be too much. But for a lot of people out there, she will be too much. She'll be a bit draining at times when it comes to the emo side of things, and then when it comes to just like she said, she on go from the time she wake up. That's a lot for some people. Some people just want quiet me time. Some people just want quietness for a little bit. And if you got to constantly talk to somebody, if you got to constantly boost somebody's ego, you always got to validate them. It's a lot. So I'm with you on that part, Sean. But for TV, I like her. I like her personality.
Okay. So next question, obviously, then, since I think that was the only kind of date after that. Obviously, the next situation then to dissect is the fact that we get the beef between Zadia and Charisse, which first starts off with the the ladies actually have a party for the guys to come round. They enjoy. They have some good connection. It seems to work. They're having fun. It seems to be it seems to be cool. And then obviously the questions and asks about company coming over, and Charisse was not for it at all, versus the rest of the group being very easygoing, etc., etc. Want to get you guys' thoughts on this open door. Sorry, not open door, but at this point it was to do with the people coming over and the men coming over. Did you guys agree? Did you guys agree with that situation? How did you guys see it? Just that first initial part where they're talking about, having the men over, or men having men stay over, whatever. Did you guys agree with the conversation? Whose side did you fall onto? Maybe saw both sides. Who knows? What's your guys' thoughts?
So first of all, this conversation, like Sean said on the last live, it was off camera. Why are we addressing this again, regardless? And why, like, to be honest, why are we addressing this about 5 scenes in? Because it was a girls' night. Everybody was having fun, having a good time. We're trying to set house rules. That's what it sounds like. We're trying to set house rules. So one of the questions was proposed on the table. How do y'all feel about guys coming over? 2 of the ladies is basically, y'all grown, do what you want. Ashley is like, I'll go with whatever you go with. I don't want to step on nobody's toes, but I'm open to having people over. I'm not. Vern is, you're grown. I'm not about to police you. Charisse is the one who clearly says no. And it appears that everybody agrees that Zadia said, okay. Conversation done. So if Zadia leaves the premises to respect your wishes, then you should be okay with that, because she is grown. You're not her mom. Now, how the door got locked, I'm guessing either it's 1 or 3 ways. You're in Airbnb, they have the combination lock, you don't know the combination. You Airbnb, don't have a key, don't know why. I never leave out of the house without a key. But if you was just running out real quick to have some conversation outside, see how that happened. I've done it several times in the past at my parents' house. And of course, my parents being petty, locked me out. That's what I'm guessing that Sharice did in this moment, is locked her out. Or for whatever reason, you just outside, I have no clue, you locked yourself out. Don't know how you possibly did that. I just don't know. But the case may be is I got Sharice being petty by locking the door. And she may have her rights of why she want to lock the door. Like I said, these men is obviously not vetted that well, so I probably lock a door too. In a whole nother state, especially New Orleans. And I don't know how we get to having to explain ourselves or lying later on. I know we're not quite there yet, but so we'll get there. So I'll stop here. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, with the type of weirdo dudes that they already done put on the show, not wanting men in the house at that point, I don't think is the worst ask. But the thing is like, what did you want from Zadia? You said no. You're the one with the stick up your butt. Zadia said okay. She went to go have a conversation with the dude that she liked outside the house, and then somehow she got locked out. I mean, that's kind of the question for the day. How did she get locked out? But to me, Sharice was trying to shame her, kind of like, I don't know, it felt like kind of like a slut shaming attempt, basically, when, you know, she probably was just talking to the dude. So I just didn't like what Sharice was doing. I mean, I don't feel like Zadia deserved that. So Sharice had the right to say no, and maybe she felt uncomfortable, but going on and on and on about that, I mean, she just gave completely insufferable. And I hate girls who act like that. Sharice reminded me of them girls that like didn't like, you know, that when you go out with your friends and you're pulling the dudes, but they're not. So then the friend just completely just tanks the whole outing because she's not getting attention. That's what that gave. Like Zadia is getting attention from the dude that Sharice seems like she found interesting later. And so she just is trying to tank the whole situation. And I cannot stand when girls act like that. Like if you're not being hollered at or it's not your time, that doesn't mean you get a chance to sabotage and tank the whole situation because you're not getting attention. Because I just don't understand being this insufferable about such a non-issue. So I didn't like that.
So I have an explanation that I saw through some YouTube comments. Take it with a grain of salt. But this is supposedly the scenario of how Zadia got locked out. They weren't provided with keys. And when she showed up to the house, the only light that was on was Sharice's. So that's why she called her. Again, this is just speculation. Supposedly, this was posted in a Facebook group. And I believe Camille is the one who explained that story. Camille from the same season of Ready to Love as Zadia was in, and they're friends. So again, that's the explanation. So that's why she called her. And that's the story. Now, similar to what everybody else said, I really just, they all agreed. They all came to a consensus that nobody was going to be in the house. So I don't know why she needed to lead with that part of the argument when she was bringing up the issue in front of the other ladies and Tamika. And clearly they all had heard it before. So I'm sure Sharice was complaining to them because it didn't seem like very new information, because everybody, meaning Ashley and Vernisha, didn't look shocked, and they both said, well, it wasn't me, right? So we knew who it was, and everybody knew who it was, and everybody knew it was an issue. Now, why that needed to be the problem. The problem was not that there was a guy in the house. The problem was that you were woken up by Zadia and you felt like she didn't apologize to you and that, you know, she was rude about, you know, her interaction. But I don't think that's the real issue. I think somebody like Charisse and Zadia, they're two type A personalities. And I think Charisse's mentality is, I want to take out the biggest person in the room. So she wanted to make Zadia a target, and she made it a point like, I'm going to go after the biggest person. And that's the same thing Charisse did with Kadian, because Kadian was very outspoken, very strong personality, and Charisse went after her. Now, again, they had legitimate beef back and forth, whatever they were tussling about. But the point is, she always does that. She went after Zoe. So I think she has something to prove. She's like, I'm not going to, maybe she was bullied. So whenever she sees somebody that has that kind of personality or persona, she just, boom, she goes at them and she wants to have a problem. Because another thing I noticed is that when they were arguing in the kitchen, after the fact, she mentioned, you're a mean girl and you're a bully. Like, they've never even had that interaction. So it's clearly she's basing her opinion on Zadia on what she's seen of the show. So she already has this concept of who Zadia is, and then she just ran with it. You know, and she just ran with it, and she was like, me and you are going to have an instant problem. And I just think, again, you're wasting your time. You're wasting so much time and energy and effort. You know how much it takes out of somebody to argue? Like, when I have arguments and disagreements, I'm exhausted by the time it's over. So much to the point that I don't even want to, like, I steer clear of an argument now. Like, I just don't, because it just drains you, especially when it's so heated. Like, I don't want to fight. Like, I'm serious. I'm at that point. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to argue in relationships. I don't want to argue with my friends. You know, we could have a disagreement, but I'm not really going to be dragging things out for so long. It's just too much. It's too much. It's an energy killer. And I really feel bad for Charisse that she feels like she has to go into these things arguing and fighting. And listen, I give points to Zadia for handling herself, not, you know, falling prey to the assaults or trying to draw her out. But when she lied, she lost me. It's like, don't lie, stand 10 toes down. And then, you know, when I mentioned this earlier, and then it becomes a non-event. You leave her arguing with herself. And that's the way you need to do somebody. Don't lie. Because when you lie, now you're giving her ammunition. Don't give Charisse any ammunition. She talks about, you didn't come home or whatever. Yes, I didn't. I didn't. And that's that. You woke me up and you didn't say sorry. I'm sorry. I saw your light on. I figured that you were up and I called you. Had I known you were still sleeping, I would not have called you, or I would have called you to let me in and I would have just said sorry. So I'm sorry. That's it. If she wants to continue to go on and on, you let her, you can have it. You can argue by yourself. You can argue with the wall. You can slide down the wall and argue. But what I'm not going to do is get wrapped up, try to lie. Because now if I got to lie, and that's why you don't catch me lying. You know, I'd rather just tell you the truth and deal with the pain right up front, or deal with the whatever, because I got to keep up with that. So that members, if I lied to you about this, then I got to remember 6 months ago that I lied to you about that. Like, I don't lie. It's just so unnecessary, especially like that. You know, I'm not saying I'm perfect, you know, but things like that, I'm not going to be lying to you. Look, I did it. My bad. I'm sorry.
Now that's interesting, Sean. You will hold a lie, but you won't lie. Okay, I'm just gonna leave you alone with the Milton, with the OJ situation and the production. You will hold a lie.
Jay,
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. Now I'm acting like Charisse. I'm acting like my inner Charisse came out. My inner Charisse popped out real quick. My bad.
Jay, you got Sean believing in zodiac signs in a minute. Now he believing it at this point.
You ain't never lied, because I was about to be like, you on some Leo bull-ish right now, Jay. What are you talking about?
But you on some Scorpio-ish right now, because I know how y'all Scorpios be. I'm raising one.
Yeah, true.
No, but no, I agree with you. Though, and I'm gonna say this about 3 times right now. I do not agree with her lying. I do not agree with Zadia lying. She is a grown woman. I do not agree with her lying. However, I do see why she lied, because she's in her mind is, I don't owe you anything. I don't even owe you the truth right now. That's her petty way of getting back at Sharice. So I don't really know why she would choose that way, because like I said last time is, I'm gonna tell you, yeah, I was outside. Why the hell you locked the door? And I called you because your light was on. But sometimes when I ain't ready to fight and I ain't trying to go there and I'm trying to be a change above person, sometimes you got to do some strange things. For Zadia, the lie was a strange thing. I just give her like that bit of grace because I don't understand the lie at all. It's like, hey, I was outside. She want to say at 6 a.m. All right. The man sat there and busted you out when Sharice pulled him to the side, and her devious way of pulling him to the side, talking about, I think you woke me up, when you're complaining that Zadia's phone call woke you up. So both y'all got a little lying problem, and y'all use it in 2 manipulative different ways. And Sharice, you was wrong for pulling that man to the side to try to pry up into Zadia's business that she didn't want to tell you in the first place. You knew she was outside because you had to open the door. She ain't got to tell you no more details of who she was with and why she was with him. And you was trying to throw salt in the game just in case she wasn't with that man and she was with somebody else. You were being a little hater. And you was being more of a hater when you try to sit there in the kitchen talking about how much conversation you really had with him. He looked at you as somebody with some experience, because I ain't going to say the other thing that he looked at you as, but he looked at somebody with some experience as far as business goes, if y'all had that much conversation, and that's all it was. Don't try to make it seem like it was anything more between y'all, because it was not. You was trying anything to get under Zadia's skin, and I'll give kudos to Zadia for not letting her get there right away. She eventually got there, but right away, she didn't let her get there. So that's growth on Zadia's part. Sharice, we need some growth.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel, one, Kojo's a Cancer and I'm a Sagittarius, definitely not a Capricorn. But I just had to clarify that. I'm Sag all day.
You got to start a shine.
Big Sag. No, but I think, people are allowed to grow. And to me, the way Zadia grew in this whole interaction, Sharice was just poking at her. It was just like, only thing she really should have done that she didn't do was, already told Sean, I would have told Sharice that she was a fan and I would have walked off, because Sharice is acting like a fan. And it's really, at this point, it's like, please find somebody else to bother and poke at, because if I respond to you, then you're going to be mad. So I think a lot of times people poke at people like Zadia to get a reaction just so they can say they got a reaction. It's just kind of like, leave that girl alone. Leave her alone. And I get why she lied. I'm not saying you should lie, but like I think Sean said, or Jason, I can't remember who said it, she didn't owe nobody no explanation for that bull crap. Because if you're trying to slut shame me, whatever shame that she was trying to do, I ain't got to answer you. I mean, you probably should have stood 10 toes with it, but I don't know. I'm a girl's girl. I don't like this jealous kind of nasty behavior that Sharice was showing. And I know Zadia has not always been the nicest person at all times, but to me, she tried to handle Sharice better, and Sharice was just being annoying. And for the record, Sharice never, ever said anything about the light situation until that point. So I don't really believe that Sharice was super upset about being woken up. She just used that later. She didn't come to Zadia and be like, you woke me up. Because that was one of Zadia's things. Like, if that upset you, then, we could have talked about it, but you never told me that. So
it's how many times she moved the goalpost within the argument. It was, you woke me up. You didn't apologize. No men to the house. Like, it was always something. And that's what we're saying about like how she picks little things for the relationships each date. It's the vest, it's the kids, it's the ex-wife. It's always going to be something. I don't know. It's just like it's giving. I'm not happy with myself within, so I can't be happy with anything outside of me.
Good conversation. I like it. Yeah, I'm going deep. But let's move on to the obviously. I mean, you guys kind of talked about it already, to be honest, and kind of got there. But obviously, Charisse was poking at Zadia. And I did love the point that you guys are making as well. I think I haven't really considered it, but the slut kind of almost like the slut shaming was, you know, the more that you guys kind of break it down, the more I realize how sinister this is, from Charisse and what she actually did to Zadia. At first you just kind of think of it as being, oh, she kind of outed her or, kind of just like, snitched a little bit. But the more you think about it, the more actually deeper it gets because she was kind of insinuating like, chick was out there in these streets, as well. So, um, yeah, that's a deeper issue there, right there with Charisse to want to do that to her fellow sister. And again, that's about trying to almost destroy the other person, um, which is kind of a shame. I don't know if she's threatened by the strength of Zadia, similar to how she was a little bit with Zoe. Not saying Zoe was perfect; he was definitely in the wrong, Zoe on his season. But maybe that's a part of it. Maybe there's something about people's strength that Charisse is unnerved by. You know what I mean? And maybe she has to kind of tear that person down in order to make herself feel safe. Maybe she does that to make herself feel safe. Maybe someone in her past has been a strong character or a strong position of strong person, a person who's got a strong position or some kind of power, and maybe that's been abused in the past or whatever. Because I don't know, as to why um, there's such a need to try and fight people in the way that she does, and she has a type of fighting that she likes as well. So it's like she always goes to the people that are strong-willed equally as well. So yeah, there's something about that. Okay, but obviously then the situation then with the kitchen scene where they have the fight after, you know, and obviously Zadia kind of even before the kitchen scene, they had a meeting with Tamika. She obviously snitched on Zadia there, and then the kitchen scene takes place where Cameron comes up because Charisse is talking about Cameron, and then they engage in warfare a little bit later on. But before we get to that point, I don't know if you guys noticed, obviously, how Zadia went to go and collect Cameron from Charisse's vicinity. So Charisse was literally talking to Cameron, and then Zadia was like, "Oh, is that what we're doing? I'm gonna go and grab Cameron for myself." And then ends up having a conversation with Cameron as well. So before we get to the kitchen scene with Zadia and Charisse, what do you guys think about Zadia coming to collect Cameron, having a conversation with Cameron, and Cameron even saying he doesn't have to tell her about the past relationships? What was your guys' thoughts about that particular instance as well?
The collection I have no problem with. The past relationship thing I think was a huge red flag. And not just his stance on it, but how short he was. He was very short and dismissive about it. And I was like, ooh. I'm really big on tone, especially kind of like with men. And he was very curt, very short, and very dismissive. And to me, that gave that he must have a girlfriend right now. Because that was just kind of a very odd response to a very normal question. Asking about past relationships is a normal question. No, we're not going to get into we don't need to get into the tea and the details and this and that. But that's kind of a normal question. And what So Bell said, he barked at her almost. I was like, ooh. To me, I would be, now I'm like, now you done told on yourself because what are you hiding? I don't think that's relevant. I'm like, oh, okay. Interesting. That was very odd. That was very odd. He must have a girlfriend currently or at the time of filming, because that was just a really weird response.
I don't know how I feel about the collection, because in this type of setting, and I guess maybe this is just my strategy hat, you can never let them see you sweat. And to me, I think her going over to try to see exactly what, you know, Sharice was saying, or try to dead the conversation and, now drive her narrative home, or see what y'all was talking about, or do whatever you're going to do. I'm a person, I want to see how, if somebody I'm interested in, I want to see how you move. I'd rather play it, especially this very early on. Now, if this is my girl or this is my wife, I'm going to operate a little differently, because now we're in a cemented relationship. But if it's very early on, I want to see how you move. I want to see, is he going to flirt with her? Or, I would want, if I were her, that's what I would want to see. I would want to see how that all plays out before you just jump the gun and trying to get in there and now just take over. Because she to me, Zadia did the best when she did less. When you do less and you just chill, that lets me know when the rubber meets the road, you know how to handle conflict, and you know how to keep your cool when things get a little rocky. So leading to his question, I do think that his objection to the question, he didn't have to do it like that. For whatever reason, he didn't want to talk about it. There's so many ways of answering that question without shutting her down. Now, unpopular opinion twist, that now as I've thought about it a little bit more, rewatched it again, maybe he didn't like her energy. Maybe because she came in with that energy to like collect him and try to set the situation straight. And then the transition right to, let's talk about your next relationship. He was like, not going to be able to do it. And I could understand that. I'm not necessarily saying it's always the best way to do it, but I could get that. It's like, you came in hot, you kind of tried to shut down whatever you thought was happening, and now you want to segue right to, what's my last relationship? Yeah, that's for me to know and you to find out. So again, I'm not sold on this, but I'm thinking like, why might a person outside of he's got something to hide, because that could very well be true too, but I'm throwing in another alternative to why he might have behaved in that way, is because he just wasn't feeling her energy and he didn't want to be acquisitioned.
So this whole scene was a little bit of both y'all combined for me. I agree with Seaway on the collection part, and I agree for this reason right here, because she initially was walking over there. She seen they was having a conversation. She walked away, but she kind of overheard where the conversation was going. And she overheard like Sharice trying to go ahead and talk him into like telling her about what was going on that night. So yes, the collection was warranted. Like, no, this is my business. Please don't. Come on, let's go. Now, where she lost me on the collection is when they were walking and his hand was on her shoulder and she was like, why your hand there? So that's that energy, I think, Sean, you're talking about, that hot and heavy energy, what made him switch his lane. Like, okay, well, hold up now. I thought we was cool. And all of a sudden now I can't put my hand on your shoulder. So there's that. The question, of course, initially when I watched it the first time, it was like, bro, it's a simple question about your past. We all ask this question at some point in the relationship. This is a speed dating process, so it's going to be asked up front. You shouldn't be so hesitant on it. However, on the flip side, because it was edited back and forth between the two dates that she was in the middle of canceling, when we come back to it, he did say, I'm not going to tell you about the past, but I'll tell you what I learned from it. So I was like, okay, he's not totally closed off from having the conversation, even though I still need to know what took place in that class so I can know what you learned. So just telling me what you gonna learn, what you learned from it is good and all. However, what was the subject? Was it on cheating? Was it on finances? There's a lot of subjects that we could have been taking for these classes. So I need to know, what was you studying when you was in them last relationships? So it was a little bit of, I don't know how to feel about it. Of course, they'll get more dates and we'll see how much open he'll be going forward. And I get where a lot of people in the comments were sitting there, well, they had all this conversation and all this, how they never talk about the past. Well, she did come into that saying, I want to know more about it. So it sounds like they had some conversation about it, but there's more that she wants to know. That also brings me back to that damn pause again, because if y'all had some conversation, when she says, I want to know more, why are you hesitant all of a sudden? Now, if it's that you just don't want to have it on camera, I get it. You don't want to, some of us don't want to bring exes or whatever on the TV and put all their business out there. I can get being protective over some people or not. But yeah, there's still some red flags. I feel like with the tone and everything, he could at least said, well, that's something we could discuss later. And it could have been just handled that way instead of just coming off so harsh as, no, I ain't got to tell you about it. It's for me to know and you not to worry about. That was kind of weird. So yeah, I'm kind of partial to where y'all both on with it. Of course, she didn't really have nobody else to choose from. So we're going back out with him and we'll see. We'll see how it go.
No, I mean, Coach, I don't know how you feel about it, but the more I think about this, I don't want no woman collecting me. Don't collect me.
Sean, now I come over and then with them heels on and I collect you up in that, that tight red dress
me.
And then heels on.
If I'm in the middle of a conversation with another woman and you come over to pull me out of it, no, I'm never gonna like that.
But we got a date in 10 minutes. Come on, Lydia.
And guess what? If we got a date in 10 minutes, then I'm gonna know to collect myself. And that's the thing. It's like, I think that's when that inner control takes over, and she felt the need to extract him, do a SEAL level extraction, drop down, and like get him out of there. That's too much. That energy, I'm good on that. I don't collect
Not
me.
The 007 distractions.
Yeah. Don't collect me. I'm good on it. And somebody said, what if production tells these people to do a lot of things and they clearly do not listen. So don't come a collecting, and don't start exerting your power over me. I don't really like that. I don't like it. I don't like that energy. So yeah, I don't think I would like it.
I don't know. Maybe I just couldn't be on this show because I'm not even like super controlling. But if I walk past and I hear Sharice trying to pry information, doing all that little sneaky crap, I don't know if I'm collecting you, but I'm definitely going to have a problem with her about that dumb behind conversation. So call that what you want. I don't feel like my personality, I'm not the type to be like, let's go. But I'm the type to go interrupt that conversation because it's like, why are you playing with me? Sharice, I just feel like a lot of people, it's easy to say we would do in this YouTube chat on this panel. Sharice was playing in Zadia's face all night. I would have had a problem. And then people could have been judging me from the comments and that would be just fine. But I would have had a problem. I'm not sure what I would have did, but I would have did something because Sharice is playing. Why are you concerned about what they were doing? She's so weird. She's very weird.
I stand with Seaway still on the situation. However, now that I'm thinking about it, Sean, especially because the whole walk went straight to the kitchen into her conversation of, we got to exit these people. I'm going to give it to production, making her interrupt the conversation. Because I'm going to say she walked away. She walked over there and she kind of walked away. So I ain't going to say production didn't tell her the first time and she was starting to walk away, or they told her the second time after she walked away and she had to go back over there. But I feel like it was production because she pulled him and then they went right into her exit conversation. So,
Personally, yeah, I agree with Sean. Don't come and gather me like that. That would have been a big problem for me. You know, I don't like people trying to assert their power, so that's going to be a big issue for me. Number one. Number two, Zadia can't let Sharice see her sweat. It is imperative, but it actually also speaks about Zadia's way of doing things. She's always going to try and control the narrative. She needed to sit her ass down, let Sharice play, let her finish playing, and you gather up Sharice. Don't come and gather up me. Go and gather up Sharice. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm not your man. I'm somebody you're getting to know. Like, you have to deep how early it is in the process. I don't know who the heck you are. I'm only just getting to know you. Just because I spent the night with you and I had a conversation. Don't come and gather me like wheat in the farm. You understand what I'm saying to you? You want to gather somebody? Gather Sharice. Yeah? Don't come and gather me. And even if she gathers Sharice, she'll look crazy then too. Because it's way too early. I'm sorry. Like, this it's too early in the process for you to be so. And I get it. Sharice is playing in your face. I get it. Sharice is doing too much. But you can't let them see you sweat this way so early in the process. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much territorial behavior too early. Let Sharice do what Sharice is doing. It's a great way to see whether I'm really down for you. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Right? If we really had a great conversation the night before and it's been wavy, then by all means sit and watch and see what I do. Am I a person who's gonna want to be with you, or am I a person that's gonna want to try and be with Sharice? You know what I'm saying to you? I have no loyalty to you. I do not owe you any loyalty. You do not owe me any loyalty. In fact, if this was a man doing this, I think we'd be like, nah, let's get this nigga out of here because he's acting up. You know what I mean? Like, but we pass up on, like, as a man, I would tell a man, be very careful of this behavior. This is how control starts. You know what I mean? And if I had a sister that was in a situation that Cameron was in with a brother doing the same thing, I would tell her, my good sis, get your bag and gather yourself and get the heck out of there because he's about to start controlling you for the rest of your life. It's the exact same thing as Adia. In fact, the whole situation gave me Dante vibes all over again. It just didn't have the prodding you in your forehead, but it was the exact same energy, right? When you get hurt, all of a sudden the person becomes a subject, and now you're like, I'm gonna show you. You know what I mean? Like, no, you want to gather somebody else up, go and gather Sharice. And even when you go and gather Sharice, I'm gonna be watching you, and we are asking myself the key question here: why are you letting her get underneath your skin when I'm not your man? You know what I'm saying,
The
Jude?
girl come in between us.
It's I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, don't let that person get in, don't let that person get into your skin so deep. And then the part that really threw me is when, we can say it's production, but she was clearly pissed off because when her brother had his hand on her back, she's like, why you got your hand on my back? So, like, things like that, your energy is now shifted. Your energy is now off, and I'm not to blame. I'm not to blame. What, I'm talking to Sharice. So what? We're in a process. You know what I mean? We're on a process where you're gonna have to date multiple people. You've been there before, babe. So you're now vexed at me. That kind of insecurity, it will definitely show up in the relationship later on. And when you are being controlled, and when you are when and I dare I say it, it becomes just like his energy. I don't like it. I don't like hers, and it's giving red flag with the big A on it. You're about to get abused. You know what I mean? And if you get abused later on, these are the red flags you should be looking at for earlier on. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, I can understand that his energy shifted. I don't give him a pass because I don't care what you say. If you ask me about my past relationship, I can talk about it beforehand. So it should never be an issue. He still doesn't get a pass for that, the sharpness and the shortness that he brought in terms of that question about the past. If he had been short in general, I would have understood it. But he was short specifically on the question about the past. You're a little bit of a red flag yourself, my friend. That it was given we're going to become toxic very quickly. What's your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, that and you guys know we have a little story about that. That don't touch me. I would have shut all the way down. And I'm not saying I'm right, but like when I get that kind of like, it's like, okay, you're good. That's it. I will not be touching you ever. I won't. Matter of fact, I won't talk to you.
We know, or run down alleys. You done told us.
Well, I will never be running down no alley.
We were told.
But
Please don't let me run into an alley during this trip.
Don't do it. Don't run into the ocean either, Jay, because I ain't coming behind you. I throw you a life raft though. But yeah, that don't touch me. Yeah, I'm good. Because that to me is like, that touches on, there's so many not red flags, but there's so many like buzzwords. And like when somebody tells you don't touch them, don't like that to me is like, okay, you feeling like I'm encroaching on your space. I put my hand on your back and that's too much for you. I'm all the way out. I'm going to do a U-turn. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a donut and go right in the opposite direction with my tires screeching.
And see, somebody just said in the chat what I was thinking. Zadia didn't want her lie exposed, and that's what brings us back to what you and Seaway said earlier, Sean, is stand in your truth. Because then you ain't got to remember no lies. You ain't got to worry about your stuff coming out there or whatever, stuff like that. If they let them believe whatever they want to believe afterwards. If she want to believe that I was out screwing this man all night, that's my prerogative. I'm grown. I can do what I want to do. There's none of your business. Why are you all up in ours? Why are you up in my cooch so bad? Like, sis, so go somewhere, please. Don't worry about what's happening over here. But yes, I was out with this man last night, and so I wouldn't feel no way if he had his hand on my shoulder. And I was partially getting that, like, oh, these ladies are already thinking I was out doing something, so get your hand off my shoulder type thing. But that energy just disrupted the whole vibe that they've been building already. And so, yeah, in that case, if she was with the Sean, for sure it's going to be a shutdown situation. Now you potentially lost a good man over some little dumb stuff because you done started off with a lie that you didn't have to tell. If you didn't want to say nothing, if you didn't want to sit there and admit to being outside or whatever, you didn't even have to say anything. You could have just sat there. We all know it was you. We know who had to open the door for you, whatever the case may be. But now here we are with this man giving him bad energy because you done told a lie earlier today and you don't want nobody in your business. It's weird. I don't know.
Coolly. All right. So then, obviously, the beef between Charisse and Zadia in the kitchen finally took place. The two titans, the Godzilla, King Kong, and literally they had a fight in the kitchen, and cooked up quite a storm. Lots of flavor, well seasoned meat in the pot, and it turned into one of those exciting meals at the time. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, it was quite an epic, back and forth between Charisse and Zadia. And, I think I think the beef between the two of them, it was interesting to watch. And you guys obviously watched it twice, so you can even give a better perspective now. It was interesting to watch, I think, because the way that it escalates so quickly. Now, of course, like I said, I think there's a little bit of fault, and I say tiny bit of fault on Zadia's end in terms of what she said by saying about sisterhood. But other than that, I think Zadia did a good job in terms of trying to neutralize the escalation. But I want to get you guys' thoughts. The kitchen affair. What was your thoughts around the situation between Zadia and Charisse?
LIG, let it go. Why are we still here talking about it? And it's the way that you transition from one conversation to the next. So you start off by being petty. When she comes in, Zadia's having polite conversation about her date with Cameron or whatnot. And it's just like, oh yeah, I had a great conversation with him too. He's good. Yeah, he's going to be hard to get. Why are you doing this? What was your goal? If you want to talk about Zadia as a mean girl and all this, you're showing your slip though. Because that's mean girl energy to be sitting here trying to get under somebody's skin by using some man that you know you're not even interested in or is interested in you. He gave you polite conversation, that's fine. Okay, great. But to sit here and start the whole night off like that, to transition into, well, I don't like being waking up at night. And we all agreed that if I don't want a man here, I'm not going to have a man over here. Okay, we said, okay, why are we back on this? We already agreed to it. The man was not here outside of production time. If he comes pick me up outside the house, away from the sidewalk, this is no longer on this property. You cannot tell me what to do. Stop. All to become all full circle just to be like, well, we can go there if you want to, but in confessional, I ain't trying to fight. I'm too old to fight. I done worked too hard on this face and that. What, sis? If you're not trying to fight, dead the conversation because everybody agreed to your terms of not having men over. There's nothing else to talk about. If Zadia wants to frolic all night up and down the streets of New Orleans, let her go. If she wants to stumble in the house drunk, let her be. Long as she promised not to wake you up again, that's what she said. She wasn't going to wake you up again. Long as she don't wake you up again, let it go, sis. You now taking it out on the vegetables. They ain't going to have nothing to eat the way she was mincing the heck out of them daggone vegetables. Like, girl. And I would not be trying to have no irrational conversation with somebody with a knife in their hand. So I commend Zadia for holding it down for the most part. But Zadia, you know what you was doing when you try to sit there and say that sisterhood stuff. You definitely was trying to get back at her some type of way. And it worked. Because now she want to pack her bags and leave. Now she don't feel safe. She don't feel safe with the women. She don't feel safe with the man. Though she the one holding the knife. Not saying she was going to do anything with it. She the one getting all right and all hostile with everybody. Not saying she was going to actually do anything, but you put yourself in positions to be unsafe a lot of times. Safety is as much as you allow it to be. So if you're not causing drama and stirring pots, you will feel more safe around people. Zadia did not come in there ready to attack you about anything that transpired from the day or the day before. Just let it go.
Yeah, the funniest part, and this is why I'm not good in arguments, and that's why I try to steer clear of them, because when she would have said, well, then I could leave, I'd have been like,
I bid you adieu.
the door, you see it? It's right there. Walk through it. Don't tell me you can leave, because I'm just going to be like, hey, we all have the ability to do what we have to do. And to me, when people say that, it's like they want you to beg them to stay. And that's insecurity. And I'm not sure what was triggered with Charisse with this whole argument, why she chose to pick this fight with Zadia and then continue to drag it on when it seemed like Zadia was trying to resolve it. And, she did a little bit until she couldn't no more, like she tried. But, I think sometimes we get pushed too far and the self comes out. But I think she did a good job. She didn't go all the way in, but she definitely, was getting in and jumping in the ring a little bit with Charisse. And I really wish that Charisse would just say what it is. Like, what is her problem? Is it that she doesn't like Zadia? Is it that she's upset about something bigger than this? Like, what is the real problem? Because sometimes she tries to get on this like moral high ground, and I really don't understand what angle she's coming from. And she thinks she's some truth teller, because she said that in the last episode or the first episode, where she was like, if people don't like the way I say things, then that's on them. I'm not for everybody. And I'm paraphrasing, right? So it's like, come on. if that's your attitude about things, are you really ready for a relationship? Are you ready to love, let alone ready to move across the country to try to be with somebody? The answer is no, because she still has some things to work through. My thoughts.
I have nothing else on these ladies.
Anyone else? Any last thoughts on the beef? No?
Cue Disney's Frozen. Let it go.
Thank you, Jade. Sean. Any last thoughts?
No, I think we covered it. We summarized it. I just feel like, I think that grace, we need to just give each other a little more grace in relationships, grace in friendships, because I think that was a theme of tonight. It was just a lack of grace shown in several different scenarios by at least 3 of the women.
All right. Well, Sean, you know what you do best, bro. We can get a benediction. We're gonna be out of here, church.
All right. So, first up is, look, how you handle relationships, whether they be personal, non-platonic or platonic, they all mirrors and versions of you and your personality. So don't think just because you don't get along with your friends that you're going to be the best at relationship to your partner. That's untrue, because your conflict resolution skills seep over, and now you might be a little bit better at work because there's money on the line. However, you is always in there. So if you want a healthy relationship, work on how you relate with everyone. Secondly, and I mentioned it, give people grace, especially in first meeting folks. It's not saying ignore red flags. It's not saying let people lie in your face, but just give folks a little bit of grace. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect, right? So give people that same grace that you want extended to you, because people are going to make mistakes. As long as they're not glaring, crazy mistakes, they might mistake gold for brown. Give them a little grace. Give folks a little grace. Thirdly, when it comes to, relationships, don't just look about what that person can do for you, but what can you do for that person? What value do you add? What do you bring that is tangible and beneficial to someone else, that is going to make you a great person to be within a relationship? Back to you, Coach.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Audience, thank you so much for joining us. You guys came out 550 strong to watch the panel, so we appreciate you. We're going to be back tomorrow night as well. We're talking about Married at First Sight. We'll be back on Thursdays in about 2 weeks' time, and we're back from Jamaica as well. But yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate you. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you join our membership. It's £1, it's $1. We'd love to see you guys for the membership only lives as well. So don't do anything I wouldn't do. Okay, all right. Don't do anything I wouldn't do out here. Okay, all right. Just behave and be sensible. Okay, don't go and gather somebody from a conversation. Okay, all right, because it might not work out the same way it did for you. Okay, don't go and gather someone. Don't go and collect them. Okay, all right. Trust the process. All right. And if that person doesn't respond the way they need to, you know what you need to do? You release them. Okay, you send them back to the what? Manufacturer. So we're gonna love you, we're gonna leave you. We appreciate you, and everybody needs a little bit of this.
Not on my watch. Not on my watch.
It's a beauty as always. Much appreciation, guys. Stay locked in. We'll see you again very soon. See ya.